Hi, Matt Driver here with part 2 of the basic drop shot rig. We come through the other day, had the basic number 1, and now I'm coming back and telling you why it works so good and how to fish it. Alright, I showed you the rig without the swivel. Here's one I actually put the swivel on. Keeps a little bit of line twist down, plus it's to braid, gets down really quick, doesn't twist as bad. But what makes this rig so good? I told you earlier I use a half ounce weight. Well, what makes this bait so good is you're able to keep a bait in the strike zone for a long period of time without moving it. So if this is sitting on the bottom and we're working this bait, notice the amount of movement. Well, the heaviness of the weight will actually keep it on the bottom. So you're able to move it, you're able to keep it into a strike zone for a fish that's very lethargic, and you basically coax them into biting. That works the same way when you're fishing off your electronics and you drop the bait down and you watch them on your electronics. What that does, what the electronics do, for one, they let you locate the fish. For number 2, they allow you to see your weight and your bait as it drops, so you know how deep it is in the water column. So you're able to sit there in the strike zone for the longest period of time until you get that strike. So that's number 1, and here we're fixing to show you how to use it. Everybody thinks that this is, you drop this bait below the boat and you just vertically jig it. That's not the case. A lot of times what I'll do is actually cast the drop shot out and actually reel it back. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna show you a couple of my retrieves. We're just gonna flip it out. We're on a point right now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna shake it just like you would a shaky head worm or something like that. You're just gonna shake the tip. I'm not really moving the bait all that much. I'm just kind of shaking it in place, and then every now and then I'll take my slack up and pull it a little bit, and then I'll shake it. And what you're doing is you're leaving that bait in the strike zone for a long period of time. Depending on how active your fish are or non-active, what I'll do a lot of times is just sit there and shake it really fast, and what I'll do is I'll provoke that strike by doing that. Sometimes they just kind of want you to hold it, let the current just make the bait move a little bit. So it's not always, you got to figure out what the fish want. So just basically, I don't move my rod tip more than about 6 to 8 inches at a time, but I'll sit here and shake it, and then I'll move it a little bit, and then sit here and shake it. So if you ever get to some rocks or some debris, sit there and shake it and pull those fish out of that cover. All right, now the next thing we're going to talk about is actually fishing the bait on your electronics. The key to this is setting the boat up first and foremost. What you want to do, right now the wind is blowing to my face, and I want to make sure that the nose of my boat stays into the wind, because that way you're not drifting, you're able to control the boat. You can keep the trolling motor on a lower speed. I don't like it to jerk and move really fast, so whenever I get it, I try to match the speed of my trolling motor to the speed of the wind. So first thing off, make sure that you're positioned with the wind in your face. That way it's easier to control your trolling motor. All right guys, now we're going to talk about fishing it on sonar. What makes it so important, even though I'm only in 15 foot of water right now, you can see that bait. Now if I move out of the cone, or if the wind shifts me around, what I'll have to do is move my bait back into the cone to see how deep I am. So you can see me jigging it, and I'm barely moving the rod tip. But what you're doing is, like that right there is an air bubble coming off the bottom. But as you can see, you'll have to get used to your graph. This is a Helix 10, and very good unit. But what you're doing is you're basically going around to mark fish, and what this allows you to do is drop the bait right to the fish and keep it in the strike zone. Main thing is make sure that you got that boat into the wind, because right now I can hardly even see it. There's the fish right there. There he is. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Lord have mercy. Oh my gosh. Dude. Look at that. Doggone toad, son. Oh man. That right there. Oh, my weight come off. Big bite jerk minnow. Toad, son. That's summertime fishing for you. Well, we'll take some pictures. Alright guys, last but not least, I just caught that fish, and the one key to the drop shot is not to slam it home like you set the hook on a jig. The one thing you do, and as you can notice in that video, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure, is when it bites, you lift and start reeling. You know, I do this all the time and I still want to set the hook. You will catch a lot more fish if you let them load the rod up and you lift on them and just start reeling on them. And then once you feel that they've got the hook, then you can bow back a little bit. But just don't pop that hook, because you will not get a good hook set. You'll jerk it right away from it. So guys, thanks for watching the video. We should have more to come here pretty soon.